Have you ever felt an invisible presence lurking in the shadows of your life? Padre Pio, a man of extraordinary faith and divine connection, often spoke about the presence of demons and their relentless attempts to lead souls astray. Throughout his life, he experienced firsthand the terrifying reality of spiritual warfare, facing demonic attacks that tested his faith and endurance. But what did he really say about these dark forces? And more importantly, how can you protect yourself? In this video, we will explore the powerful words of Padre Pio regarding demonic influences and, most importantly, the practical steps he recommended to safeguard your soul. Whether you are feeling overwhelmed by negative forces, experiencing unexplained hardships, or simply seeking spiritual strength, the wisdom of Padre Pio offers a beacon of hope and protection. His teachings remind us that spiritual warfare is not something to be feared, but to be confronted with unwavering faith and the right spiritual tools. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to identify the subtle tactics of demonic forces, discover the most powerful methods to shield yourself, and embrace a faith-centered lifestyle that Padre Pio strongly advocated. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear could change the way you approach your spiritual life forever. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our powerful insights into faith and spirituality. Now, let's take a closer look at the life of Padre Pio and his profound battle against the forces of darkness. Padre Pio, born Francesco Forgione in 1887 in the small town of Pietrelcina, Italy, was one of the most revered saints in the Catholic Church. From an early age, he demonstrated a profound connection with the divine, experiencing spiritual visions and leading a life of intense prayer. At the age of 15, he joined the Order of Friars Minor Capuchin and, over the years, became known for his extraordinary spiritual gifts, including the stigmata, the visible wounds of Christ, which he bore for most of his life. However, Padre Pio's journey was not without challenges. He faced constant spiritual battles, believing that demons were relentlessly attempting to derail his mission. He often spoke of physical and psychological attacks from demonic forces, describing terrifying encounters where he was tormented by unseen entities. These attacks were not mere illusions. They left physical marks and emotional distress. Yet Padre Pio remained steadfast in his faith, using prayer as his ultimate weapon. One of the most famous accounts of his struggle involved nights of violent disturbances, where furniture in his cell would be moved, and he would wake up with bruises and scratches. Despite these trials, he maintained an unwavering belief that God's grace was stronger than any demonic force. His response to these encounters was always the same, turning to prayer, confession, and the Holy Eucharist as shields against evil. Padre Pio often reminded his followers that the devil operates through temptation, doubt, and fear, and that spiritual vigilance was crucial to withstand such attacks. He believed that no one was exempt from these spiritual battles, and that strengthening one's faith was the key to victory. His teachings and experiences serve as a powerful testament to the reality of spiritual warfare and the importance of staying close to God. But what exactly did Padre Pio say about demons and their influence in our daily lives? Padre Pio's warnings about demons were not mere theological concepts. They were based on his direct experiences and spiritual discernment. He often spoke about the relentless nature of evil and how demonic forces work tirelessly to distance souls from God. According to Padre Pio, demons are cunning, persistent, and capable of disguising themselves in ways that make their presence difficult to detect. He emphasized that their primary goal is to weaken faith, sow doubt, and create confusion in the hearts of believers. One of Padre Pio's most famous statements about the devil was, "The devil is like a mad dog tied to a chain. He can only bite those who come too close to him." This powerful analogy reminds us that demonic influence is strongest when we allow ourselves to be lured into temptation and spiritual neglect. He warned that the devil preys on human weaknesses, whether it be through pride, fear, or distraction from prayer and devotion. Padre Pio also described how demons use subtle methods to infiltrate daily life. He mentioned that negative thoughts, feelings of despair, and persistent temptations are often signs of demonic influence. He cautioned believers to be mindful of moments when they feel overwhelmed by negativity, as this could be a spiritual attack designed to separate them from God's grace. Despite the intensity of these battles, Padre Pio always reassured his followers that God's power far exceeds that of the devil. He emphasized the importance of staying vigilant and clinging to spiritual practices such as prayer, fasting, and the sacraments. One of his most consistent pieces of advice was to pray, hope, and don't worry, as fear and anxiety are often tools used by the enemy to weaken faith. Furthermore, Padre Pio believed that demonic forces could influence not only individuals but also families, communities, and even the world at large. He encouraged people to remain steadfast in their faith and to seek divine protection through daily devotion and a sincere relationship with God. Now that we understand Padre Pio's warnings about demonic influence, it's essential to explore the methods he recommended for protecting oneself from these malevolent forces. Padre Pio strongly believed that spiritual protection was not just a passive hope, but an active commitment to living a life rooted in faith, prayer, and obedience to God. He emphasized that demonic forces are powerless against those who are firmly grounded in their spiritual practices and who remain vigilant in their relationship with God. According to him, the most effective weapons against the devil are prayer, the sacraments, and unwavering trust in divine providence. One of Padre Pio's most powerful recommendations for protection was the Holy Rosary, which he called the weapon for these times. He believed that the Rosary had immense power to shield individuals from evil influences, and he urged his followers to pray it daily with devotion and sincerity. The repetitive prayers, combined with meditation on the mysteries of Christ, serve as a spiritual armor that strengthens the soul and distances it from temptation. In addition to prayer, Padre Pio stressed the importance of the sacraments, particularly confession and the Holy Eucharist. He taught that regular confession not only cleanses the soul from sin, but also fortifies it against future attacks. Similarly, receiving the Eucharist provides divine grace that nourishes the soul and creates a barrier against the forces of darkness. He once said, "The Eucharist is the bread of angels that keeps demons at bay." Another key aspect of protection Padre Pio recommended was the use of sacramentals, such as the Saint Benedict medal, the crucifix, and holy water. He believed that these sacred objects, when used with faith, served as physical reminders of God's presence and protection. Sprinkling holy water in one's home and carrying a blessed crucifix were among the practices he encouraged for those feeling spiritually attacked. Furthermore, Padre Pio advised his followers to engage in penance and fasting, viewing them as powerful tools to discipline the body and strengthen the spirit against temptations. He believed that through small acts of self-denial, believers could grow closer to God and build spiritual resilience against the enemy's schemes. In his teachings, Padre Pio also highlighted the importance of living a virtuous life, emphasizing humility, patience, and love as key virtues that repel evil. He believed that when a person cultivates these qualities, they create an environment inhospitable to demonic influences. Most importantly, Padre Pio taught that faith and trust in God are the ultimate shields. He often reminded his followers that fear is the devil's weapon, and that staying firm in faith would always lead to victory. He would say, "The devil may try to shake you, but God is always stronger." Now that we've explored Padre Pio's powerful methods of protection, let's delve into how to recognize the signs of spiritual attacks and what actions you can take when you suspect you're under demonic influence. Spiritual attacks can often be subtle, creeping into our lives in ways that may seem coincidental or insignificant at first. Padre Pio, through his deep spiritual insight, identified several signs that indicate demonic interference in a person's life. He warned that these attacks could manifest in various ways, mentally, emotionally, and even physically, designed to lead believers away from God and into doubt, fear, and despair. One of the most common signs he pointed out was a sudden difficulty in prayer or spiritual devotion. Individuals who previously found comfort and peace in their prayers may suddenly struggle with distractions, doubts, or a feeling of emptiness. This is often a sign that demonic forces are attempting to weaken one's connection with God. Another significant sign is persistent negative thoughts and emotions, such as fear, despair, and a sense of hopelessness. Padre Pio warned that the devil's goal is to manipulate our thoughts, creating feelings of unworthiness and separation from God's love. If left unchecked, these emotions can grow, leading to spiritual isolation and vulnerability. Physical manifestations were also something Padre Pio experienced firsthand and acknowledged in others. Unexplained fatigue, nightmares, and disturbances during sleep can be signs of demonic interference. He advised that persistent feelings of oppression or unease, especially in holy places, might indicate a spiritual attack. Padre Pio also cautioned against unexpected conflicts and temptations that seem to arise without explanation. Frequent misunderstandings with loved ones, feelings of anger, or temptations towards sinful behavior can be tactics used by demonic forces to sow division and weaken faith. In addition, he noted that an intense resistance to attending Mass, reading the Bible, or participating in spiritual activities could be a direct result of spiritual oppression. The enemy often tries to isolate individuals from sources of divine strength and encouragement. Recognizing these signs is the first step in countering a spiritual attack. Padre Pio emphasized that it is crucial not to surrender to fear, but instead to lean on God's strength through prayer, the sacraments, and trust in divine protection. Padre Pio firmly believed that the greatest weapon against demonic attacks is an unwavering faith in God. He taught that, no matter how persistent or intimidating the forces of darkness may seem, they can never overcome a soul that remains steadfast in faith and trust. He often reminded his followers that fear is the devil's tool, and the antidote to fear is complete surrender to God's will. Faith, according to Padre Pio, is not just believing in God's existence. It is an active, living trust that manifests in daily life. He advised his followers to maintain their faith through constant prayer, regular participation in the sacraments, and surrounding themselves with positive spiritual influences. He once said, "Faith moves mountains, but trust moves God." This powerful statement reflects his conviction that true faith brings divine intervention and protection. Perseverance in faith is equally important. Padre Pio often spoke about how the enemy seeks to wear down believers, making them feel discouraged and abandoned. He encouraged persistence in prayer, especially during spiritual dryness or difficult times, assuring that God rewards those who remain faithful despite their struggles. One of his key teachings was to pray, hope, and don't worry. This simple yet profound message encapsulates the essence of spiritual perseverance, remaining hopeful in God's providence and resisting the urge to fall into despair. Furthermore, Padre Pio stressed the importance of maintaining spiritual discipline, even in the face of adversity. He advised his followers to trust in God's timing and to remember that every trial serves a greater purpose in their spiritual journey. Padre Pio's teachings on demonic influence and spiritual protection serve as a powerful reminder that we are never alone in our spiritual battles. His life was a testament to the power of unwavering faith, prayer, and trust in God's divine plan. Through his experiences and guidance, we have learned that the devil operates through fear, temptation, and distraction, but God's strength is infinitely greater. By following Padre Pio's advice, praying the Rosary daily, receiving the sacraments regularly, using holy sacramentals, and maintaining a virtuous life, we can shield ourselves from spiritual attacks and draw closer to God. His encouragement to pray, hope, and don't worry offers the assurance that, no matter how intense the struggle, God's grace is always sufficient to overcome darkness. If you've ever felt the presence of spiritual battles in your life, now is the time to strengthen your faith and arm yourself with the tools that Padre Pio has shared. Take a moment to reflect. Are you truly prepared to protect yourself spiritually? Let us know in the comments below if you've experienced any spiritual struggles and how Padre Pio's words have inspired you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with others seeking spiritual strength and guidance.